Welcome to part 2 of my oil painting where I'm trying to do something different with it. So if you watched part 1, you'll see that I wanted to do a large kind of central shape or doodle that makes the viewer look straight at it and you look at the sections within it after. So I did that with a large blue X, and I'm doing some shapes on kind of in every section of it. I talked about how I did some random lines and how I create doodles and aspects within those lines, kind of like looking at clouds and you see shapes within it. So I did some of that. I also want to make sure that I'm doing some large doodles and some other small ones. I find the paintings where I do them all the same size, it's almost overwhelming because there's so much to look at. So I have been really wanting to make sure that I'm being more intentional with where I want the viewer of the painting to look. So in an ideal world, I want to know that they're looking at the X first, or then one of the larger aspects, then it kind of just merges to each other. So that's what I've been doing with this one. And I've been trying to just use a bunch of bright colors and have them contrast with some of the darker ones, especially because I'm doing more shading to create depth. In areas like this, I want to make sure that I'm focusing on the depth and having them darker, so it kind of looks like you're looking at the shape from the side. So it's been a lot of fun to try out kind of those new techniques and see how they make my paintings look different. It's been really cool and interesting to look back and see my paintings from a few years ago. And for me, I think I like the ones that I'm doing now a lot more. And just knowing that a lot of the stuff I'm doing is more intentional, even though, like I've mentioned, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's part of the fun. So it's been kind of cool to learn some techniques and practice them and see how they translate to making my paintings look better and making them something that I'm more proud of doing. I want to make sure that I'm adding bright colors as well. So I'm adding some of this yellow, and I have two different shades. I have one that's a bright kind of more neon yellow, and I have a kind of more yellowy, kind of a deeper yellow. And I do notice the difference, and it's kind of cool to see, especially when they're kind of close to each other. So I like doing that, making sure there's enough of each of them to make sure it doesn't look funny when you only kind of see one that's slightly different. So I make sure that when I put a new color in the painting that I have it in enough spots so it doesn't look weird. So it's been a lot of fun to just kind of learn these things over time by doing them and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. The beauty of oil paint and what I've been really enjoying with it is if there's something that doesn't really look the way you want it to, you can change it, and because it doesn't dry, you can blend a color or make it a lot larger of an aspect or smaller just by blending something else into it. And that's something that with acrylic you don't really have. If I wanted to change something with acrylic, I find I was just always painting over it a few times, just kind of covering it up. But I like that you can kind of blend a lot more with the oil paints. At this point, I kind of know the direction of where the painting is going, and I know what the main colors are going to be, so I am happy with how it's looking, and I definitely just want to make sure that I'm kind of keeping the balance of colors similar the whole way through. So what I mean by that is just making sure that the kind of percentage of the painting that is orange or blue or different shades of green, I kind of keep similar. I will be introducing a few new colors for the little textures and details, but that comes in after, and kind of the same way that I do it with the other colors, those new texture colors, I make sure that I have somewhat evenly, not necessarily that they all have to be exactly the same amount throughout the painting, but if I do it in one area, I want to make sure I do it a few areas around the painting, and for example, not just in one little section, but make sure it's in different parts all over, just so it doesn't look funny when it's only one area with one certain shade. I really like this light blue, and I have to make sure I'm not using it too much throughout the painting just because I have that big blue X. If I did too much other shades of blue throughout it, then it could take away from that, so I just need to make sure I'm using it in very small amounts and not too close to the X, just to make sure it doesn't wash away any of that. I've had it in some other paintings where I do a large doodle or aspect that I really like, and by the time the painting's done, it kind of gets taken away from because there's so much going on, or I put too much texture in it that you can't really see the borders, so I want to make sure that doesn't happen with this one. I really like the look of having that red in the painting and in little areas. I like doing buildings throughout the painting, so you'll see a lot of kind of like little downtown skylines. Sometimes I have them as large aspects, sometimes I have them as just little parts. I think it's kind of a cool add to it. I sometimes make them super detailed, or I kind of leave them blank, but it's kind of a nice way to take up space, and you can have some other cool designs and doodles coming off the side of it. I really like this red shade as well. I find it acts as a good bright color, but it also can act as a dark color. Even without mixing, I just find it looks good with every type of painting. I've done some with really bright colors and it looks amazing. And when I do paintings that are more kind of earth tone colors, it looks great as well. I think my next painting I'm going to do will be more kind of earth toned. I want to use a lot of browns and greens and red and some black and white and see how that looks. I think it's time I kind of try something new with each painting and kind of keep pushing myself and try a few more things that I can take what works into the next one with. So I think the next one I do want to try a different color palette and also continue with this style of having a few larger details or aspects of the painting that you see. I like how this one turned out. It's not done yet, but I like how that X looks. And I think I can do a lot more, especially if I focus on the dimensional part of it and make sure that kind of has that 3D style to it. If I can have a few of those in a painting, I think that would kind of take my paintings to the next level in the sense of where people's eyes are drawn to when they see it. I'm going to be wrapping up this part right here. I'm just finishing up with a few smaller details. I'll probably have another 1 or 2 parts for this painting, and then I'll do a time-lapse video as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll be posting the next part very soon.